I'm here with Ben Costa, creator of Pong, the Wandering Shaolin Monk. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you.
So, for people who may not be familiar with the Xeric Award Winning graphic novel just recently out, tell us a little bit about what Pong, the Wandering Shaolin Monk is about.
All right, it's about a wandering Shaolin monk named Pong in 17th century China, and his temple's just been destroyed. So now he's trying to find a few of his brother monks that he thinks might have escaped as well. He meets a girl for the first time and is just trying to survive during a tumultuous period.
And so, what was sort of your origin or genesis for this story? Where did this story come from for you?
Well, I guess first started with me watching kung fu movies, and then I started practicing kung fu, and I got into the history behind it, and I realized that the history was really kind of mysterious, and there were a lot of contradictions, so I thought a story exploring all those contradictions would be kind of fun to do.
Yeah, I noticed that as I was reading along, this was originally an online comic, and
Yeah.
so as I was reading along online, there were lots of footnotes and lots of sort of, well, it's, these people say this or these people say this, and we don't really know, so I'm going with this interpretation of it.
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of what I'm doing.
And so, what kind of research did you do for this?
Well, there's not, too many sources. There's like one really good source, and it came out after I started the comic. That's called Shaolin Monastery, History and Religion of Shaolin Monastery, I think. And so beyond that, there are a few good message boards, if you'll take that as a source, where there are people who do their own research in China and kind of like, write about what they've found and stuff like that.
Well, it seems like you also have kind of a pretty good interaction with your fans online. I've noticed, again, in the comments that there was lots of, hey, did you know this and all, and that's kind of interesting to be a part of something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, talk a little bit about your art style for a minute. How did you choose the art style for Pong? Not just the overall art style, but then the general look for Pong himself.
Well, it's kind of an organic process because I really learned how to draw while drawing this comic. I actually never really intended to be an artist myself. I was more focused on writing, and then I just got sick of waiting for artists to do stuff. So this is the first comic that I did on my own, and Pong just having a circle and two dots and a mouth for a head, that's just because I thought it'd be easy. And it turns out it's not that easy, because drawing a perfect circle is pretty difficult.
Not to mention being able to show emotion and all, you're kind of limiting yourself.
Yeah.
So, how do you create this? What is your creative process for going through this?
At this point, well, I start out with writing a script. I don't write a full script, like the whole story. I'm kind of I have an outline, and then because my process is a little slow, I just write out a little bit ahead. And so now I'm drawing everything on the computer on a Wacom Cintiq tablet where you draw directly on the screen, in Photoshop where I color it and all that.
Lots of undo, you keep saying.
Yes, that's important.
So this is volume 1 that's out now, and this is not necessarily a complete story. This is just sort of the first arc.
Yeah.
Second arc is now up online, is that correct?
Not completely. It's a work in progress, so it'll keep coming.
The first volume was very much about finding your sort of home in your heart and where you are as an overall theme. What sort of theme do you have going for volume 2 so far?
So far, it really hasn't played out yet, and I'll probably discover something else. So I kind of discovered that like halfway through. But he's really struggling with what it is to be a monk, I think, after the events of volume 1, and there'll be more of that.
So you said you don't have it plotted too far out in advance. You have sort of general stories. Do you have an end somewhere in your head, like where this story eventually ends up?
Yeah, I have the main plot points all figured out. It's just kind of like a matter of how to get to each one. I leave it kind of up in the air just to make it fresh for myself.
You know, the other thing you had serialized online was stories from Pong's youth at
Yeah.
8th Mountain. Is that included in Volume 1, or is that something that people can only find online?
Right now they can only find it online. I might end up printing like a mini comic type of thing, but that's yet to be seen. So
So what's next for you? What else do you have sort of going in the brain right now?
well, I'm working away on volume 2, and I've also been working on a fantasy comic that I wrote with a friend. It's all black and white, and I'm really not sure when that will ever come out, but it's on my plate.
Gotcha. All right, well, we're going to wrap this up the way we wrap up all of our interviews by asking you, what's your issue? What is that one comic that, you know, was so awesome or so fantastic or so crazy that you just feel like you got to tell people about?
I think I might go with, I don't remember the exact number. It's 8-Ball, the Death Ray issue. I think that kind of changed how I looked at comics. It was like, you know, it's an independent, I don't know, Fantagraphics put out, but I don't know, it just kind of blew my mind.
Anything in particular about it, or just the overall awesomeness of it?
Well, it was like a superhero comic disguised as an independent comic, or the other way around. And I don't know.
All right. Well, Ben, thanks a lot. It's been a real pleasure meeting with you. And you've been watching Stumptown Trade Review, your online resource for independent trades and graphic novels.